Welcome back to the Healing Wellness Show, sponsored by Iowa Wellness Center. And I'm Dr. Kareem. And today we're going to be talking about why your gut affects far more than just digestion. I'm joined today with Mark. Mark is going to be asking me questions from the audience here in the corridor area in North Liberty, Iowa.
Hello, everyone. I hope you guys are doing well. Today, we're going to be talking about the gut health and weight loss, why your gut may be blocking results. We have quite a few questions here to talk about this. And thank you so much, Dr. Mo. Let's go right into it. And I would say the first main question would be, how does your gut health affect weight?
That is part because your gut is your second brain. That's where 80% of diseases come from. That's where inflammation comes from. Inflammation will target your joints. So that's joint pain. That's like your low back pain. It could be your neck pain, your knee pain, just joints in general. And then it typically will attack nerves. So that's where you might start to develop like numbness, tingling, burning, cold sensation, balance problems. That's how it will affect. Some of the known diseases that come from the gut are going to be like your type 2 diabetes, your thyroid problems. That could be gut related, like ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, irritable bowel syndrome. And then some nerve related will be like fibromyalgia, restless leg syndrome. It could cause some of the autoimmune diseases. So these are all gut related problems. And it's because your gut starts to leak and cause that inflammation in the body. So the gut does influence that inflammation, does influence cravings, how you metabolize what you're eating. Also, hormones is a huge factor as well because as we're aging, hormone levels are decreasing. So that's another big one that we typically will address hand on hand is, hey, we need to check your hormones and we need to check your gut health because those a lot of times go hand in hand. Because if you're having that leaky gut, well, your nutrient absorption isn't there anymore as well. So whatever you're eating, you're not absorbing anymore. And when I say leaky gut, is think of your gut lining is kind of like the water hose, and it just has a bunch of holes in it. And when you turn on the faucet, now you could see small water coming all over the place, and that's how leaky gut happens.
What are some of the signs of poor gut health?
Major ones are going to be bloating. We have people all the time saying, "Hey, I feel bloated," especially eating something that the body doesn't like, and that could be like, "Hey, like eating cheese. Hey, after I eat cheese, I feel bloated," or after I eat carbs, I feel bloated, or after I drink alcohol, I feel bloated. So there are indications that will indicate that there is something that you're eating or drinking that's causing that toxicity in the body and causing that gut to leak. And then big ones are going to be constipation and diarrhea. If you're having the severe where your stools aren't normal and you're super constipated or you've got diarrhea, these are big indications that your gut isn't healthy. And that's constant. I'm not saying, hey, once in a while you're again. Now I'm saying that's a constant thing. And you're either having constipation all the time or diarrhea all the time, or with irritable bowel syndrome, it's both. And it's fluctuating between both. Another big one is acid reflux. That's not a normal thing to have. So taking medications for acid reflux, well, that is gut related. A lot of times we can address your gut, and guess what? Your acid reflux goes away and you don't have to be on that medication. Food sensitivities, where if people start to develop, like, hey, I'm gluten intolerant now, where I wasn't before, well, that sensitivity is typically a gut related problem that once we solve that, well, you don't have that sensitivity anymore. Or, hey, dairy, that's another one that if you're developing these things later in life and weren't born with it, then these are all gut related. Those are all indications. Fatigue is another big one where, hey, I feel tired throughout the day, or halfway through the day, I feel tired, or around lunchtime because I ate and now I feel tired. These are all indications as well. And then cravings. Cravings, I would say, whether you have sugar cravings, salt cravings, just things like that is indication of poor gut health.
Why are gut problems increasing these days?
I mean, there's lots of different things. It's the processed foods out there. I mean, everything that have preservatives and chemicals and, and synthetics in them, things that keep it longer on the shelves. So processed foods. Again, in my last episode, I believe we talked about the example of milk on the shelf, where the milkman back in the days, bringing the milk, that lasted about 2 to 3 days in the shelf, where now it lasts about 15 to 30 days in the shelf, and that's because of all the preservatives. So antibiotics that are put in the foods, the toxins, a lot of things nowadays just don't have proper nutrition. I mean, reading the label and say you have a chicken product and the third ingredient is chicken. Well, that's not real food. But that's where, as you come in, we do teach you about, hey, we need to read the labels, we need to look at what is it that you're putting in your body, what can we eliminate, and then stress. I mean, stress as a whole, as a society, we're stressed about work, we're stressed about family life, we're stressed about money, stressed about gas prices, so these could all increase the gut related problems.
Can fixing the gut health really improve weight loss?
Yes, for many of our patients, that's a huge yes. I mean, and I'll give you an example here, but you better your gut health is often we're going to improve your inflammation, we're going to improve your metabolic function, we're just decreasing inflammation in general is just going to help. I mean, because we start to decrease inflammation, we start to get rid of the gunk in the body, while your joint automatically starts to feel a whole lot better. And that's what we typically will hear after 3 weeks of doing gut health. That third to fourth week is where people say, hey, I have more energy, my joints don't hurt anymore. I mean, I've got many, many examples of that. I mean, I've got a patient that came in. We did actually a neuropathy exam on them because they were complaining of balance problems. They were complaining of numbness and tingling in their hands and feet. They were tired. They were super overweight. They were using a cane and sometimes a walker to walk around if it's going to be a long distance or anything like that. And that's probably because of their balance. Well, we evaluated them as a whole. Obviously, we found that they do have nerve damage, which we do nerve or neuropathy protocol in our clinic. So we did address that. But the biggest thing, and before going into the gut health that we fixed, they had heart problems where they had high blood pressure. They had diabetes type 2. They had thyroid problems. They had rest leg syndrome. So at night, they were twitching their legs. I think these were the major ones. These are all gut related problems, like I said earlier. So we tackled the gut, started to clean the gut, seal the gut, take the bad bacteria out, put the good bacteria back in. And so they did the gut health over 6 months. Within 3 months, they actually lost about 50 pounds, is what they lost. They still had, I think, about 60 more pounds to lose, which they lost within the year. So in total, I think they lost 110 pounds in a year with our gut health protocol. But that also, we reversed their type 2 diabetes. They weren't on heart medication anymore. We did fix their thyroid problem. The thyroid problem, a lot of times when people come in with thyroid, that's a 50-50 thing where sometimes 50% of the time we'll fix it, 50% of the time we'll decrease medications for them. But in this case, they got off their thyroid medication because their thyroid was normal again. Uh, got rid of the rest leg syndrome, and just overall, their nerves now are they weren't having that numbness and tingling. Their balance was improved. Now they're not using a walker anymore, and the cane, they were just occasionally using it after that 6 month period. After a year, they actually stopped using their cane. So just overall health has improved where now they've lost the weight, their joints feel better because every pound that you're overweight, you're putting 4 extra pounds of pressure on your joints. So if we took 100 pounds, well, that's 400 pounds of pressure on your joint. So we took 440 pounds of pressure off their joint, which is huge. Imagine walking around with 400 pounds on you. I mean, that's huge. That's why they weren't able to walk. That's why they weren't able to lose the weight. And that's why their health was deteriorating. So, on the next episode, we're going to be talking about hormones and why so many women and men feel like their body changed overnight.